components, corridors. Right, so the purpose of a corridor enclosure is to provide fire protection to occupants as they travel the confined path to an exit enclosure. Corridors serving an occupant load exceeding 30 shall have a 1 hour fire resistant rating. All right, so here's our corridor. The idea here is that we come in here and there's some amount of protection this corridor provides. So they're saying if it serves more than, what do we say here, 30 people, then we need a 1 hour rating, right? So we come in here and I have some protection going into our exit enclosure. Okay, so Patrick B asked if the corridor is considered an exit enclosure. It is not. It is still part of the exit access. So when you go through here, you would still have to consider the travel distance until you got to the actual exit enclosure, which would be the stair. All right, elevators. So traditionally, elevators have been used as an accessible means of egress, but not a required means of egress from the floor. However, occupant evacuations, elevators have started to be used recently in very tall buildings. So after 9/11, people started to study how the elevators were used, and they found out that the elevators were actually used effectively to transport people down the building. So the IBC and FPA are trying to update their building codes to allow us to use occupant evacuation elevators. So occupant evacuation elevators are not permitted by NFPA 101 to satisfy the following requirement: number of means of egress, capacity of means of egress, and arrangement means of egress. So this to mean basically saying that you could have it in there, you could transport people out of there, but they still want stairs to be able to handle the arrangement, the capacity, and the number. The IBC is a little more lenient on that. Okay, so components, exit passageway. We talked about this already a little bit, but exit passageways are exit components that are protected by fire-rated construction. They are intended to be either an extension of an exit stairway to allow the stairway to discharge occupants directly to the exterior of the building, or they're intended to prevent occupants from being exposed to unacceptable travel distances. So basically, if my stairwell doesn't connect to the exterior, I could put an exit passageway to connect it, or if for some reason I have a really long building and I can't make the travel distances work for whatever reason, I could put an exit passageway to make the actual exit closer to the remote area. An exit passageway that serves as a discharge to the stair enclosure shall have not less than the same fire resistant rating and opening protection, fire protection rating as a stair enclosure. All right, so if we have an exit enclosure on grade, and then it connects to an exit stair that connects 6 stories, the exit stairwell would be required to have a 2-hour fire rating. So that 2-hour fire rating would also have to be included onto the exit enclosure. The width of an exit passageway. The width of an exit passageway shall be sized to accommodate the aggregate required capacity of all the exits that discharge through it. So that makes sense. If you have 2 exits that go through it, it has to handle all the occupants. All right, so these graphs kind of show what we were just talking about here. In this first one, it's assumed that our person that's shaped like an X, for whatever reason, can't reach the stair in the required travel distance. So to get around that, they made an exit passageway instead of the corridor. They made a legitimate exit passageway, and then the person, as soon as they get into that exit passageway, they're out of the exit access travel and they're into the exit enclosure. And that helps them solve the unacceptable travel distance. And then over here, this would be on the first floor. Our exit stairway, for some reason, doesn't connect to the exterior of the building. So we just connect it with an exit passageway. All right, so John M. asks, can an exit passageway double as an area of refuge? My opinion would be yes, it would. You would just need to provide an area for the wheelchairs, and then you would also have two-way communication. Okay, so Patrick B asks, what is the difference between an exit passageway and an exit corridor? Does the passageway provide a higher fire rating? All right, so that's a really good question. So yes, it could. So like say this exit passageway here, if this stairway connects, more than 4 stories, it has to have a 2-hour fire rating. So that would be higher than our corridor. And it wouldn't be dependent on occupant load. Also, the other big thing is this has to be a fire barrier. So this has to be from the floor all the way up to the ceiling. And you're not allowed to pass any type of mechanical equipment or electrical equipment, plumbing equipment that doesn't serve the exit, right? So if we have this here, we couldn't run HVAC ducts through here. We can run plumbing through here. The only thing we'd be allowed to do is put sprinklers and standpipes, and if for some reason we have to pressurize a stair, we could put those pressurization systems in. Does that answer your question, Patrick? Okay, good. Yes, so basically it is more restrictive.